Photo of Sara drinking a cup of tea. Photo of Sara smiling. Seeing with Sara logo. Seeing with Sara is a virtual series hosted by Empowerment through Integration and developed as a co-creation between ETI and ETI's founder, Sara Minkara.
Hi everyone, my name is Sara Minkara. Welcome to another episode with Seeing with Sara. I'm so excited today because I'm going to be introducing you to one of my favorite people in the world, my older sister, my role model. She is a tenure-track assistant professor in the bioengineering department at Northeastern University. She is a rock star in many ways, has broken so many barriers when it comes to disability and how people perceive and expect of people with disabilities when it comes to sciences. So I'm so happy, I'm so excited to be introducing you, Mona, to this episode. So Mona, we're going to get started, and I'm going to first ask you, who are you? Tell me about yourself. Who are you?
Oh, but before I tell you who I am, I want to let you know that was a really nice introduction, and you should talk to me like that all the time. I'm just kidding.
No, I can't.
I'm so touched that I love you. Okay, who am I? I am lots of things. Man, I don't know where to start. Okay, I'm a woman, I'm a scientist, I'm blind, I'm Muslim, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I am a friend, I'm an adventurer, I'd like to think that I'm an intellect, you know. Like, who gets to decide that? I'm free-spirited, I would like to think, too. I'm a lot of different things.
Yes, that is something that you are. I mean, and I want to focus on a few of the words that you mentioned. You're a blind scientist, and there aren't that many blind scientists out there. You're also someone who loves adventures, enjoys life. And I'm gonna dig more into these different things. But tell me, growing up, you know, as a young person with a disability, you know, how was it? What were the good things and what were the bad things?
I mean, to be completely honest with you, growing up with a disability, I didn't think about it very much. Okay, I think as a kid, you go about your day. It's the norm that you are living in, and you kind of don't know any other norm. I mean, obviously some things did stick out. Like, I was bullied as a kid for being blind, especially when I was in elementary school. That changed when I went to middle school, actually. But then on the other hand, it really taught me to be my own self. I think I've learned and realized that a lot of people rarely have the privilege to be comfortable or, you know, be comfortable with who they become and who they are. They've never faced the challenge of having to kind of truly accept themselves. But I feel like my blindness pushed me to do that. I developed a sense of who I was from a young age, because I had to decide, or I was going to let everybody else's comments take me left and right. But instead I decided to stay put, and this is just who I am.
And, you know, school was a big part of, you know, our lives, right? Growing up. And, you know, I would love for you to tell me and tell the world kind of what should schools be doing to make sure a person with a disability, a student with a disability, be able to thrive. What are the things that you benefited from? Give me examples of things that we're done well and we're not done well.
So the first thing that I would tell every school and every educator out there, never, ever, ever judge the potential of a student. Never put your own biases on that student. Never decide what that student can and cannot do. Leave it up to the student. Let the student talk to you. Communicate. You know, and every student is an individual. We're not one big mass. You can't just clump all disabled kids and be like, they're the disabled kids. Like, that doesn't work. That should not be the fundamental basis of any type of education ever. So that's the first thing I would say. What worked is people who did communicate with me, did ask me, what do I like? What do you want to do? Saw my potential and grew that in me. That's what worked. That is how, if you want to change society, you start there. You start with the individualistic, human, one person-to-person interaction. Never judge.
And just so for people to know, Mona and I went to the public school system here in Hingham, so we were mainstreamed. Mona is 2 years older than me, so she paved a lot of the path for me, actually. She had to really fight a lot of the obstacles, and I had it a little bit easier because she really opened up a lot of the path for me. Then, Mona, you ended up at Wellesley College, which is an amazing, amazing college. And you ended up majoring in 2 different things. 1, computational chemistry, and 2, Middle Eastern studies. 2 different subjects completely. When you decided to major in chemistry, what were people's reactions? Because, blind chemistry, what?
That's literally what their reaction was. What? They're like, how do we do this? I remember having, when I was trying to apply to graduate schools, I needed to take the chemistry GRE. And it was a requirement for some of the applications. And literally, I called up ETS and they were like, we don't have an accessible exam for you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this is, and they even wrote me a letter saying they don't have an accessible version of the chemistry GRE exam for me. And I was like, what? Like, this is part of my requirement. So it was so rare that I couldn't even take the chemistry GRE. So what I did is I had the head of my department find an old exam, administer the chemistry GRE exam to me informally. And then, I wrote a letter to the schools being like, this wasn't available. This is what I was able to come up with, just to show the schools that I'm willing to do the work. It's just the systems don't exist. They haven't thought about it. And I brought it up to ETS.
Yeah. The system, society, again, like their expectations of people with disabilities, of blind people, they can't do science, right? And that's why it doesn't exist. And that's an infrastructure that needs to be resolved, and also mindset. But on the other hand, that's amazing that you had the head of the department be like, you know what, we're going to make this happen, and let's do this exam informally. And, so for the world, it takes those kind of folks to really help us pave our path, right? Like, if it wasn't for that professor.
Yeah, he was awesome. That's Professor Christopher Arumanayagam, and actually my advisor when I was at Wellesley, my research advisor, Professor Mala Radhakrishnan, like, they played a huge role in my success and the position that I'm at right now. Like, they believed in me. They put their, hearts and souls into teaching me, and it paid off.
So for teachers and professors out there, I mean, like, this is huge, right? Because of Mona, and she got that support. I mean, Mona has had that potential, and they saw it, like, that science was her passion and her drive, and they believed in her. And I think teachers and professors out there, you guys make a huge difference for people when you see each person's individual potential, and not project what you think their potential is, but let them really kind of explore that. And I think that's really huge. And I think that's something that we in ETI are trying to do, is how do we train teachers and professors and educators to be like, create a space for students to thrive, create a space where they're empowered to believe in themselves, create a space where you're really wanting to make sure each curriculum and each aspect is accessible. So you ended up then doing your PhD. What made you decide to do a PhD? I mean, that's not an easy decision.
Yeah, honestly, part of it was the adventure of doing it, but part of it was I'm genuinely interested in learning more chemistry. I was like, I want to be a scientist, so I'm going to be a scientist. And I'm not going to lie, it was overwhelming. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I remember, like, on the first day, like, moving down to Florida, I got my PhD in Florida, University of Florida. I remember thinking, how am I gonna write my thesis? Like, it's usually 200 pages. How am I gonna do research? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna one day at a time. First, figure out how do you get to the school, and that was a process. So you gotta just, like, honestly, it was one of the best things I've done.
Yeah, and then you ended up at University of Minnesota for your postdoc, and then you ended up securing a really tough position, a tenure track position at the bioengineering department at Northeastern University. How?
How? I mean, I'm blessed. I feel like it's from God, but like I worked really hard. I had people who backed me. I remember going in for the interview at Northeastern, and I was like, I need to show them that I'm different and that I'm worth it. And I created pamphlets. Okay, like who does that? Who comes to an interview? Like I had like 3 pamphlets. You know, it's like, this is my pamphlet on my research. This is my pamphlet on my teaching philosophy. This is a pamphlet on what I've done. And they were colorful. I remember meeting the dean here at Northeastern. She's no longer at Northeastern. She moved to Tufts. But this particular dean, the dean of the College of Engineering, was like, wow. Like, she was just so impressed that I was blind. And then, like, on top of it, she's like, how'd you create these flyers? And then ended up talking half an hour about these flyers. They're like, they're so colorful. How did you choose the colors? And I was like, well, I had somebody choose the colors, but I created the content. And she was like, good for you. Like, she was just like so impressed by this gesture that I think it stuck with people. But I remember practicing, you know, you have to give 2 talks when you go to an interview like this. You have to give a talk about like your research to the public, but then you also have to go into a private room with a certain number of faculties and you defend your proposed research. And, you know, that's kind of nerve-wracking. It's like another defense, like another thesis defense. And I practiced so much and so hard. And, you know, just hope for the best, and it landed. I'm pretty lucky.
And it's such an impressive position. It's such a hard position to secure. I mean, for people, for I don't know if people know this, but tenure track positions are really hard to secure. Like, they're not easy. It's a year-long, grueling process that they have to go to, where they're applying, interviewing, etc. And alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah, like, you got this amazing position, which, you know, Mona, you're going to be such a role model and inspiration. And I'm using inspiration specifically, even though I'm not a big fan of using inspiration when it comes to disability, but you are going to be an inspiration to many blind kids out there, because they're going to see you did it, right? It is possible. It is possible to go pursue science or math and tech and whatever it is, and pursue your passion, if that's what it is, and become a professor. So tell us a little bit more about the STEM curriculum, because so one of the things in ETI, we like to really make everyone in our families work. And we got Mona to actually design a STEM curriculum for our Camp Rafiki program. Tell us more about that, and why did we do that?
Well, I really, really wanted to bring science to these kids. I think that science is usually a topic that is discouraged amongst the blind community, but it's not practical, it's not feasible, it's very visual, like why even do it? So I really wanted to do that and break down those barriers. And then not only did I want to do that, but I wanted to show them that they could do it on their own. So we designed 10 different lessons using low-cost materials, which was another added challenge, a very unique one, and designed so that every kid used zero sight. So like, I asked them to wear blindfolds, and they did everything from creating record players to stethoscopes to fizzy lemonade and, you know, your classical volcano like science project. They did it all, and they loved it. And a lot of the students were just so shocked. Like, I remember the bouncy ball, like we had them create their own like bouncy balls. They were just like, how do we do this? And they all wanted to do it at home, and they all went home and they did it, and they were just like shocked and really happy. Or even the you can create anyways, there was all these different like experiments that they did, and because we use low cost materials that you can find in the household, they went home and tried to do it too and show their families, and they were really happy. It was really awesome. Like, it was really awesome to see that.
Yeah, and it really it gave a lot of kids this belief that they can pursue this if they wanted to. I mean, just to give you guys an example, in Lebanon, the specialized blind schools, they actually, a lot of them remove the math and science curriculum from in the high school years. So because they're like, oh, well, there's no point in these kids learning math and science. And then we bring this kind of program and we're saying, no, it can be done. It can be done if you're creative. It can be done even with low cost materials, and it can be done if you believe in it.
Like, we had the older students that were in high school actually extract DNA from a strawberry without using their sight at all. This worked.
So cool. It's so cool. Well, anyways, you guys we will show you guys videos and pictures of this, but it's amazing. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up in shortly, but I want to, before I wrap it up with my last few questions, one side, like completely different question. You're adventurous. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to adventure. I like to travel. I like to water raft, and I like to swim, and I like to walk places not knowing exactly where I'm walking. I like to, you should definitely check out my, so I actually won the Holman Prize, and I got, really lucky to get money to actually do this. And I created a series called Planes, Trains, and Canes, where I go to 5 different cities around the world, and using only public transportation. I travel by myself, and I adventure. So you definitely should check out planestrains.canes.com, or just go to YouTube and type Planes, Trains, and Canes. But yeah, that's what I really like to do. I like to go places and do things without knowing what's gonna happen.
Mona loves to have fun. It's really cool.
Yeah, too much maybe.
Okay, last questions, just because right now we're in this COVID period, and to be honest, with COVID, systems are changing, status quo is changing, things are becoming more virtual, and in some ways this could be beneficial for people with disabilities, but other ways people with disabilities are further marginalized, right? What advice do you give people with disabilities during this COVID time?
Speak out. I know it's exhausting. I know, you should be like, why aren't these people thinking of this? Speak out. I don't know what else to tell you. I have to speak out on my own, university, and tell them hey, this needs to happen. I know, people are planning for your quote unquote average person, and they're not thinking of people with disabilities a lot of times. So a lot of things are becoming digitized. A lot of things are becoming a little bit more harder to accomplish. Speak up. People genuinely do not know or even think about it.
I'm gonna wrap it up, but I'm just gonna share a story about how I see my sister, right? So my sister is, as I said, she's my role model, my strength in many ways, my rock in many ways. To give you guys a small story as an example of how crazy amazing she is that one time I was in Nicaragua, I got sick, was hospitalized in the hospital, down in Nicaragua. I call her up, I'm like, Mona, I'm scared, I'm in the hospital. She took the first flight out and was there that evening next to my bed. That's how Mona is. She doesn't let anything get in the way. She is, she literally just goes for it and sees what the world will bring. And that's how she became this amazing blind scientist, adventurer, who loves to have fun and is an amazing big sister to me and my brother Ibrahim. I love you, Mona. I'm glad we were able to kind of share some of your story here. Everyone, please check out her website, monaminkara.com. She has a lot of cool stuff going on, including research, which I don't understand half of it, but check it out. And everyone else, please follow us on social media, all of our platforms. Please comment below on if you have any questions for Mona to ask her, any comments, please share them. And please stay tuned with another episode with Seeing with Sara in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow ATI on social media. Instagram, ATI.vision. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, ATI Vision. Follow Sara Minkara. LinkedIn, Sara Minkara. Instagram, Sara.s.Minkara. Facebook, Sara.Minkara.1. Twitter, Minkara Sara. Seeing with Sara logo. Credits. Production, ETI, Empowerment Through Integration. Host, Sara Minkara. Executive Producer, Ana Barbosa. Carol Cochino. Assistant producer, Nicolette Capiello. Post-production, Bacoli Media.